You're watching Rock Shop Live, brought to you by Stewart Travel Guitars. See the incredible stowaway travel guitar at stewartguitars.com. Microphones for Rock Shop Live are provided by Rode Microphones. Now, for Music Gear Network, here's your host, guitarist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, happy Wednesday morning to you all. Good afternoon for the people joining us from the UK and other time zones as well too. You're watching Rock Shop Live, and joining us today as a guest, you probably have seen maybe more so than some of your family members. He's been around, he's been on the stages across the world, a veteran in the rock and roll world, Derek Smalls. Derek, how are you?
I'm great, Eric, and I want you to know that this is very special for me because I recently overcame internet addiction, and I'm on a very strict limit of 10 minutes a day, so I'm stretching it a bit for you.
Well, that's good, and I'll talk to your people as well later on and say, it was all in good faith. It was all appropriate internet.
Well, don't use the word faith with us. That leaves a bad odor.
Okay, I had a question about the internet addiction because it must be so strange for you. Coming through, you've seen so much technology change, and now we can talk to people on our phones and see who we're talking to. We've got this Instagram thing. What's gonna be crazy, right?
Yeah, it is. There's a song on my record, Small's Change, about a bit of that, which is the telephone used to be a miracle that brought people together, and now it's just a pain in the ass in your pants. It's Buttcore is the name of the tune, and it's just about technological change is not all it's cracked up to be, and I don't mean to say butt cracked up to be, but it's what occurred to me when I just said that.
There you go. Well, the technology has changed a lot too. I can just imagine, back in the day, you're playing some of these double neck BC Rich basses, and then now we've got all this computer stuff. I mean, that must just freak you out. Do you use any kind of technology on stage as far as? We'll talk some tech about bringing some people in via satellite and stuff like that later.
Yeah.
But are you using anything crazy like that on stage, or is it just analog all the way?
It's straight ahead. It's a good old bass. Actually, 8 basses I use on stage. And an amp and a DI, and Bob's your uncle. I
saw a video you did just the other day on YouTube. You're doing a great job on this YouTube thing here, and it was actually pretty cool. I know you're using Schecter basses now, yes. And they're all exactly the same model, just different colors because certain songs require a certain color mood.
Color feel,
yeah. Feel.
So each song has its own color feel, and if you don't represent that with this, then the audience is not getting the full value of the song, I think.
I think the one that really stood out for me was I almost said Long Dong Silver, but it's Long John Silver.
Yeah. Only if you're on the Supreme Court can you use the other one, and it's not the British Supreme Court. We got one too,
Right.
Don't think you're so special, but it's Long John Silver, and it's silver. It's a silver base, but it's not made of silver, so you can't melt it down for.
So we couldn't trade it in we couldn't make a bracelet out of it or anything like that.
No coinage.
Gotcha.
You couldn't make mint coinage out of it, is what I'm saying.
Certainly. You couldn't, fold it down really thin and wrap a cucumber with it or anything like that.
Well, that's aluminium, mate.
Oh, there you go. Right. You're correct. Yeah. You're correct on that. For the few people,
it's also a courgette, as you call it, a zucchini.
There you go.
If you think about it, cucumber is got a surface that's a bit too warty for the desired effect.
Okay, I gotcha. For the few people here that may have never seen this program that you're involved in, so years ago there's a little bit of a documentary, and you like to call it, from I've seen in different interviews, a little hatchet job they did on you. But tell us about this little project that some people may have seen you in back a few years ago.
Well, this director, air quotes, air quotes, inverted commas, we say, is Marty DeBerge, who'd done adverts as far as I know. But he approached us, big fan of the band, and he wanted to cover our first American tour. And we were, young and maybe stupid, certainly young. And we said, well, sure. And it seems he had an agenda, because if you saw the film, you see us not finding the stage in a venue in Cleveland, Ohio, and I swear to Eric on the lives of any mathematician you can name, 99% of the time we found on that tour, we found our way to the stage straight away. But he didn't show you that.
Of course.
No, he didn't. And it was like that. And I wondered for a while, what the deal was with him, and whether I think I figured it out eventually, with the help of some therapy, which is he was a fan, and we hadn't quite made it in 18 years, and he thought the way to help us really break through was to turn us into a laughing stock.
Certainly.
And I thought about that, and I thought about something my late dad, Duff Smalls, once told me, a very wise man, and he said, better to be a laughing stock than no stock at all.
That's a good one. I like that. I might borrow that. I'll make sure I credit him.
He was a very wise man.
Very nice. And I agree with you, too, that it was a hatchet job on you, because another thing that they pointed out about you, probably 99.9% of the time, you were able to get in and out of the cocoon no problem on stage, but they had to focus on one, right?
The pod, yes. That was, and it's like, he's just picking these things. He's picking them. And, you have friends like that. You just say, hey, Derek, not looking too well today, mate. Hey, Derek, suit doesn't fit. Friends like that. That's the kind of fan he was.
Yeah, I can see that. Wow. So all these interviews I've watched of you talking about the hatchet job, I never really got the whole story, but so now I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, you know where he is now.
Exactly.
So the Where Are They Now file.
That's right. So you're hitting the road actually quite soon here, and there's several stops in the West Coast, including one here in Canada. And I have a question for you. I'm curious to see how Canada receives Derek Smalls, because I'm here in Canada, of course, and maybe back in the day of Tap, did some tours around the area.
We did a one-day tour of Canada.
Okay, one day.
Yes, Canada Day.
Yep.
It was. I think they named it in our honor. It was Canada Day, and it was we played St. John's, Newfoundland at 11 a.m.
Nice.
And we played a outdoor facility outside Toronto at 3 p.m. and we played Vancouver at midnight. And it was all one day, thanks to the good people at Molson, which I hear is a brew.
Yes, it is. It's not a bad brand.
Yeah, so it was Canada Day for us. It was one day. It was a one-day world tour, a Canada tour.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. Well, that's fantastic. It's good to see that you're received here. I know a lot of my friends here in Canada are Tap friends, are fans, and of course of you as well too. But let's talk about that tour now. So you're going to be hitting the road, and you have some fantastic musicians, and some of them are actually even being brought in. I'm kind of worried. I heard you say that you beam them in. It's not like Star Trek, right? Because I think there could be some things that could happen. If you beam in Steve Vai and he doesn't make it 100%, you get like half a Steve Vai. But tell us about this tour.
No, it's called Lukewarm Water Live. We premiered it a little while ago in New Orleans with the Louisiana Philharmonic, and it's symphony orchestra, of course, because when you get to be a rocker of a certain age, if you're not playing with a symphony, you stay home. And we've also got some my own band, and then some guest artists of great renown. Many of them joining live via satellites, because they've, of course, if you're a Steve Vai, you've got other things to do during the day, but you set aside the time for us at night. And it's Steve Vai. In Los Angeles, I know we've got Steve Lukather live on stage. We've got some other. Dweezil Zappa is joining us, I think, live on satellite, and Donald Fagen live via satellite, and the Snarky Puppy Horns live via satellite. So it's satellites working hard.
I guess so. So I was worried because, I've figured that you're embracing technology and you're beaming in people. I was worried like it was like a Star Trek thing, and I was just worried for the guests.
It's not really. We're not beaming their bodies in. We're just beaming their image and their playing or singing.
There you
go. So their bodies remain with them at all times.
That's good.
The insurance company insisted on that.
Yeah, I can see there'd be some liabilities. Yeah, that'd be a little costly.
Oh, you left his left leg where? We don't want that.
Well, your pal Dweezil just played, I was going to say London, but not your London, but London, Ontario, which is like 45 minutes from me. I happened to miss his show the other night. I had a pass from him about 20 minutes before the show. He says he wanted a guest list. I'm like, oh, no, I can't make it. But, I'm looking forward to see what he's doing with you. That's great.
He's great. He plays on a song called MRI. The show is built around the songs from the record, which is called Small's Change. What is this? It's the other side of this, but anyway, it's Meditations Upon Aging is the subtitle, and it's it all came about because I was with a friend in Albania, Eddie Dregs. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's got a near death metal band called Chainsaw Vermin, and I was hanging out with him, and getting a bit, impatient to get back on the stage. Just get back in the harness, not the literal harness. I sold that. And I saw a little advert for this thing called the British Fund for Aging Rockers, which I believe what they do is they take the money left over from austerity and give it to aging rockers, hence the name.
Okay.
And I applied, and they said, "What's your idea?" And I said, "My idea is you give me money and I make an album, mate." And they said, "Great." And I guess that was a good enough idea. So this all came from that. And then they said, what are you actually going to do on the record? And I thought, they say, I think my dad told me this, they say, write about what you know. And I thought, what do I know? I know I'm getting older.
Sure.
Because I'm not dead yet, so I must be getting older.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'll write about that. So the songs are all about different aspects, the gains and the losses, and the ups and the downs and the sidewayses of getting older. And the song that Dweezil plays in, getting back to Dweezil, is called MRI, because I don't know if you've had one yet, Eric, but at a certain point, the doctor starts looking at you and saying, "You're going to have an MRI, mate." He may not call you mate, but he'll say that. And then you get into this stifling little tube.
Almost like a pod, again.
Oh, well, yes, but it's horizontal. Mm-hmm. And I did it. I had one of those. And it was, it starts out frightening and all that. And the song does too. And then all of a sudden, halfway through, I had epiphany. And it was Derek, as I call myself Derek. Mm-hmm. Derek, I'm in the tube, and I'm saying this to myself, they're banging your head for you. And that's, what the song's about.
There you go. Well, I made a couple notes about some song titles too, because, I've seen that Hatchet Job film that they made on you. And one of the things I liked, I'm a big fan of Nigel. I'm a guitar player. I happen to love you because, just because you're you. But I love Nigel's songwriting, and he comes up with some witty titles like, I Lick My Love Pump in D minor, very sad key. And I'm just wondering, like,
saddest of all keys.
It is, isn't it? It just makes you weep when you hear it. But some of these song titles.
Makes you weep when I hear you say its name.
I know, and as a matter of fact, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. I should. Let's not even talk about it. Let's we're not going to even go on that song title anymore. I'm going to be upset. I don't want to cry on camera. But you got these song titles like Hell to Pay, Gummin The Gash, Butt Call, She Puts the Bitch in Obituary. I bet you some of these titles, not only would they impress Nigel, but where does the thought process come from this? And tell us about creating these masterpieces.
Well, as I say, I was, like She Puts the Bitch. It's as you go through life, if you're like me, you accumulate wives and girlfriends, sort of as, almost like a collector, almost like a record collector, as CDs or vinyl. I had girlfriends and wives, and some of them were brilliant, not in that Oxford quantum way, but, just the blimey, the sheets on fire way. And some of them, just get their hooks into you and make a mess of what's inside. And that's what happens as time goes along, as you may know. And so the song was about a woman like that who, she'll put the bitch in Obituray, all right? And I mentioned MRI. Gummin The Gash is, it's an ode to, it's about what's gained and what's lost as the years themselves grow older. And it's an ode to the joyous meeting of two toothless orifices.
Okay. Oh, Jesus.
So,
okay. I kind of figured that. I didn't want to go there, but you did, so we'll go with that.
I did.
You did.
And butt call is obvious. It's that pest in your trousers.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And there's also a song called Small's Change, was the title of the record, which is about my change from being in a band to suddenly looking around and going, well, now there's just me, isn't it? So it's a powerless ballad, I'd say, about that. And then there's some others.
Now, obviously, the cover, it's got your face on the cover. It's nothing like Small the Glove, nothing provocative that way. But do you have any problems with, some of these song titles? Kmart having any objections, or the Walmarts of the world, or any places like that?
I don't think they sell records anymore.
That's true, right? It's even hard to find CDs anymore, isn't it?
I don't think they're Kmart's anymore.
That's right. I know, Kmart are closed all across Canada here. I don't think there's anything.
See, so rock and roll won that war.
Yeah. It did. It's a whole new world now. It really is. So here's a question for you.
A world without Kmart.
I know. What will it ever be? We're going to lose all these stores, all thanks to the internet.
That sounds like a Kenny Loggins tune, doesn't it?
It does.
World without Kmart.
That's right. Doesn't sound like a small song.
No,
not whatsoever. So over the years, you've had this, you've intimidated men, women, everywhere in between, with your rock persona. You've had all these extra little tricks that you do for the intimidation, just owning the gig, being there, looking like the part, owning it every single time. But I met you briefly in passing at NAMM, and you were kind of running back and forth between different booths, and you did a nice appearance at the Ampeg, Yamaha Guitar Group booth. And they had a massive 11-foot tall beast. And I'm just wondering, for the first time ever in your life, were you intimidated by it?
Oh, you mean that great hulking amp?
Yes.
Yes. I wouldn't say I was intimidated. I would say I was emboldened.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It was like, here's 2,000 more watts, mate. Do something with it.
There you go.
It's like if somebody, I don't want to talk about, I'm not in America, you're not in America, we shouldn't even be talking about guns, so I won't. But if somebody just hands you, let's say, a giant bow and arrow and says, there's that deer over there, and now you can shoot it and the thing will go twice as fast. It would be like that. I don't know anything about deer hunting, so maybe I've got that wrong.
But you owned it. You rocked it. That was a great performance. Fans were loving you.
Yeah, it was great to it's where you feel that, it's not up here. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel it, a kick in the pants.
It's like let's be honest. It's like you got a third ball.
I got you. Yeah, that's right. You feel it for sure. Here's something I want to talk tattoos for a moment. I don't have piercings in my ears, and I don't have a tattoo. I've never gotten a tattoo, and probably for good reason, because the story I'm going to talk about here in a second, I'll just set it up and you can tell us about it. But many years ago, Spinal Tap kind of took some breaks, and they've never really broke up. You just kind of dissolve, probably in some of that lukewarm water. But you went to a Christian band and got a Jesus fish tattoo. Cool. I think that's a great idea. But where did that go wrong for you? Because something happened after that.
Well, I joined Lamb's Blood, and we had actually a top 25 Christian chart hit with a whole lot of Lord, and got this. They said they knew I was from Tap, and they were a bit suspicious that I was, not really a believer, and so I got the fish tattoo just to, fit in, just to make the lads think that I was one of them. I mean, I was one of me, but to think that I was one of them. And then I get the call from Tap that they've got the Break Like the Wind tour in '92, and they lure me back, and then Dave, I think it was Dave, said, "Bloody hell, what's that?" Pointing to the tat, and I said, "Oh, it'll be fixed promptly." And I went to a tat artist that afternoon and said, "Just do a devil with his mouth wide open as if he's eating a fish." And so that's what he did. So that's what I had for a long time. And then I just went, sod off, all of it. So I had it. It wasn't shaved off, it was lasered off. All of it was lasered off. Because I thought, if I join another, which I did for a while, it's just there's not going to be any room left for the arm. I'm just going to have tattoo, dealing with tattoo, and it's like it takes over soon. It takes over your body.
Yeah, I mean, if you went into one of these, like as you said, a near death metal band or something like that, I mean, the only logical thing I could have thought of is maybe a shark eating Satan eating the fish, maybe.
Yeah. Or maybe just a what's the thing that when they're measuring your heart?
Oh, like an EKG kind of thing? Like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like have an EKG, connected up to the devil and electrocuting him.
Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting for sure.
So I just didn't want to go there.
I got you. No, you did the right thing by lasering it off. Let's talk mustache. Okay, some people, you have long hair, you're a Superman. If you have a mustache, does a mustache possess any superpowers? And have you ever shaved it off? And what was results from that?
No, I've never. Since I started growing it, which I guess was right when I was in London School of Design. I didn't have really a lot of design talent, but I liked the initials of the school. But no, I've had it ever since. It's a babe magnet. We don't say that. We don't say that anymore. We're not supposed to. But it's a babe magnet, as you know. I'm sure.
I am aware of that because I've parted with mine a couple times. I have it back usually by 3:00 the next day. But thanks to my genes from my father. Actually, was he a hairy man as well too?
Duff was no, because his business was going into people's homes.
Okay.
And so he had to be clean shaven, because otherwise the housewives of the 1950s would have slammed the door in his face. He was a phone sanitizer, and he'd come around every week with his little kit, spray it on the handset and then wipe it off, and you're good to go for another week. But people in Britain were very concerned about, when they started getting telephones after the war, it looks a bit unsanitary to me, they would say. And that's how his business started up. So to be able to get into people's homes, I mean, this is probably long before you came along, but, there used to be encyclopedia salesmen.
Oh, I remember those. I was born in the 60s.
Yeah, okay. None of them had this. None of them had facial hair either.
Right.
They had to get the foot in the door.
That's right.
You don't get the foot in the door with this on your moor.
Very true. And if you weren't doing rock and roll, I mean, I could think of a couple things that you could be doing. One, you could be following in your dad's footsteps, because now with all these mobile phones, it's hard to even find people having a regular phone anymore. But people are taking the phones to the bathroom. They're watching.
Oh, I know. It's the germiest thing in the world. And I just think if my dad, Duff, were around today, this is what kind of person he was. He would have come up with an app that you could use to sanitize your cell phone, a self-sanitizing phone, and he'd be, as rich as Bill Gates.
That's right. Sell it for 99 cents even. I bet you'd make millions of dollars on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically push the button.
More in Canada.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, well, actually, it'd have to be a lot more in Canada. Our dollar is very poor amongst the dollars of other countries, for sure.
That's what I've heard.
Sure.
I mean, so yeah, it's right now. This is like, I pretend I have a phone in my hand. There, it's the germiest thing you can be touching.
It is. I know.
It's germier than a toilet seat, mate. Think of it. And you wouldn't hold your toilet seat up to your ear and your mouth.
No.
I mean, some people would, but you wouldn't.
All these touch screens. I mean, everything is a touch screen world. There's been studies of McDonald's. They've studied McDonald's restaurants, and there's matter on the screen that we don't care to talk about, but a lot of germs as well too.
Yeah. I tried. Maybe the business to go into is very lightweight gloves.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah, but not like the latex gloves the doctors wear, because that would make people nervous.
Yeah.
That snap.
Yep.
But just featherweight gloves. So when you go about touching things, it's not really you. It's touching.
Well, I've always admired your voice too, and maybe sometime down the road when things slow down, rock and roll. I know you're never going to retire. As musicians, we play until we die. But you might even consider doing some voice acting sometime. You might be pretty good at it.
Well, I don't know, but my slogan is "Rock till you sit."
There you go. But just keep that in mind, just in case, And if you ever get into it, you say that Canadian guy with the mustache. He gave me the idea.
Okay.
Awesome. So a question for you here. I get this, and this is really funny. This is kind of what brought this all together. I showed you the video with. Are you familiar with Ian Thornley here in Canada?
No.
Okay, you got to look him up later. He's one of the world's greatest guitar players. Ian Thornley. He's from a band called Big Wreck. And he's well respected by a lot of famous musicians, and he's kind of an underground guy. Either you know him or you don't, but when you do check him out,
well, I don't.
Yeah, check him out. I'll send you a link to him. Anyways, he was on the show.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, he was
go
on the
ahead.
show, and he gave me the Derek Smalls reference, right? He said, dude, you look like Derek Smalls. And it stopped the show. We had kind of like a train coming off the tracks. It's so funny. And I get this comment all the time. People think they're actually slamming me. They're attacking me. Haha, you look like Derek Smalls. Little do they realize I love it. What can you say out there to the wankers that say I suck because I look like Derek Smalls?
You're wankers.
Man, a few words. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. We are.
Don't be a wanker.
All right, there you go.
Don't be a wanker. That's. I'd change it to that.
Okay, don't be a wanker. There you go. So I'm gonna make sure
And don't take that literally.
I got you. No, because sometimes you want to be one.
Sometimes you need to be a wanker.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Sometimes a few times a day. We're going to enter the speed round of the questions here. These are going to be some really short answers because I value your time greatly. I know you have other interviews to do, and we're about 4 or 5 minutes away from end of the show. And I have these written down, and they're speed rounds, so they're very easy to answer.
That's good because I have my answers written down.
Awesome. That's good. You're psychic, and you remember these. I didn't even send them to you, but you got them. That's good.
No.
Number one, do you still listen to what the flower people say?
No.
Awesome.
No, because the flower people have gone to seed.
There you go. All right.
They're now the seed people.
Excellent answer. What's more likely to impress the ladies? A cucumber, a zucchini in the trousers, or B, fake $100 bills in your wallet?
I'd say A, because most women I know can spot a counterfeit a mile away.
There you go. Okay.
It's I don't know what it is. It's the mums raise them that way. I wish it wasn't true, but I flashed a counterfeit a time or two. Oh, what's that? What's that, Derek? That doesn't look like a real one. That's not his picture on it. His picture isn't on a bill, is it? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess if you bring out a $100 bill, it's got Nigel Tufnell on it or something like that, it's pretty easy to spot a fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think Nigel's ever going to be on a bill.
No.
He might be sent a few bills.
He'd be in receipt of a few bills.
There you go. Question number 3, Gassy drummers. Gassy drummers, tips to avoid spontaneous combustion. Are we looking at maybe diet, whole food, plant-based, keto? Any suggestions to avoid?
Here's what I realized when I had drummers playing. I had great drummers, Taylor Hawkins, Chad Smith, Greg Bissonette, Jim Keltner playing my record. And all of them, I rang them up the next day to say, how you doing, mate? Never felt better. And I thought about that. I thought, I know a little bit about the Supreme Evil one. I thought, he's a bit hung up on the number 3. 666 is just a bunch of threes after all.
Yep.
We were 3 in Spinal Tap. It was basically David, Nigel, and me. The other people were, interfering with the 3. Now I'm 1. He doesn't care. Satan doesn't care. Curse is over. So the main thing I would say is avoid the number 3. So,
good one, man.
Bloody sake.
There you go. That's the end of the speed round, but that's fantastic. There's always takeaways from every show I do. I try to find something valuable to take away, and all this knowledge that you've shared, I think, honestly, my takeaway is avoid the number 3.
Avoid the number 3.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
In your band.
Yes.
You can use it, when you're paying people.
Okay. All right. So if I count to 3 today, I don't have to skip it. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if I can get that high.
If you can get that high, you don't need to count.
Okay, then there you go. Fantastic. No, how about when I tell the band guys, okay, ready on 1, 2, and
okay.
Well,
normally 1, 2, is what we do.
Okay.
Yeah, just to be on the safe side.
Perfect.
They can figure out, it's like we give them the first 2, and then it's like, if you're not smart enough to figure out what's left after that, get out of the band.
That's right. Yeah. I think that's basic skills for being in the band. You have to at least be able to do that.
Yeah,
for sure. Before we wrap up here, one last question. I saw a really cool video you did. You shared it on your YouTube yesterday, and you're giving up Nigel a bit of a ring on the telly there. And first, I think maybe he didn't recognize you. It's been a while since you talked to him. But and I know he's working with the calving season and all these miniature goats he does. But do you think
miniature goats? Yeah, he's gone way off the deep end. He was breeding miniature horses for a while and couldn't find jockeys small enough to ride them, so he switched over to goats. It's just, guitarists. What can you say? I mean, you were one, so you can say, but what can I say? I can't say.
Do you think you guys and David, do you think you'll get together for any benefits? Is there any talk of that in the future?
You know, I hate to keep referring to my dad, but he's the wisest person I've ever known. And he said to me, Derek, never say never again.
Never say never again. Okay, I got you.
You know, that could be a song.
It
really.
could.
Never say never again.
I like it. I really like it. I do. Listen, we are right on the 11:30 mark our time, which would be 4:30, I guess, your time. I want to thank you graciously for your very valuable time. Thank you for the years of Spinal Tap and Derek Smalls. We look forward to seeing you on tour. We've been sharing all of your links today to your website, to Instagram, all that good stuff. People can check all that goodies out. Purchase the album. Awesome. Thank you so much, Derek.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, we will see you. And I apologize to everyone. We didn't get a chance to say hi to you in the chat today. We just very limited time. But if you're jumping in at the very end here, go back and watch us. It'll be available for replay. Derek, we'll see you very, very soon. And until next time, cheers.
Hey, you're still here? Eric Jr. here, reminding you to check out our full lineup of quality merch. Available right now in the Mustache Boutique. Quality products and fast shipping. Visit broadstash.com today.
Video production services for Rock Shop Live are provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for Rock Shop Live are provided by Rode Microphones.